So let's talk about the cost. So we're going to hear from the human side, and I'm very grateful for our panelists today to put a face and a name and a story to this. I want to talk dollars and cents. So it costs the state of Wisconsin $51.50 per inmate per day to serve at the county jail. All right, $51.50 per day per inmate. We have 453 inmates tonight. $51.50 times 453 inmates is $23,329. So today, right now, Sunday, tonight, $23,300 cash has gone from the general fund, which goes to schools and medical assistance and critical programs, is going to county governments to house the overflow of overcrowded prisons. So if we take that's about $700,000 a month, about $8.5 million a year. Now, this $8.5 million is already budgeted in the last state budget for 2018 and 2019. So the majority party has already spent close to $20 million in cash payments to county governments to house these overflow inmates. This is in context to an overall $1.2 billion annual budget for the Department of Corrections. So, everybody understand, adult prisons are way overcrowded, spilling into the counties, and we're almost going to spill out of the counties into either new construction or out of state to private prisons. So I want to talk about the inverse problem. We've had the opposite problem in juvenile corrections. This is an aerial photo, lovely fall foliage of rural Lincoln County, Wisconsin. So this is Lincoln Hills, the juvenile prison. You can see around these middle buildings, these kind of brown-roofed buildings, those are referred to as cottages. Those are the actual residential units of where the juveniles sleep. And if we were to go there now, you would see that about 70% of the campus is vacant. So I'm going to give a little history of how we got there. In the 90s, we had nearly 1,000 juveniles incarcerated. We had 3 facilities: Ethan Allen in Waukesha County, Lincoln Hills up north, and Southern Oaks in Racine County. National law trends in the state of Wisconsin, juvenile crime rate fell, the rate of incarcerating juveniles fell, and around the turn of the decade, we engaged in a study that recommended consolidating to one facility. That consolidation was into Lincoln Hills. So Ethan Allen closed, Southern Oaks closed, and then Lincoln Hills and the girls' side of the facility, Copper Lakes, was open. At that time, there were, I have here 250, there's actually closer to 300 juveniles at Lincoln Hills or Copper Lakes. And there was about 500 as a capacity, 519 capacity at Lincoln Hills. So we've lived this story. This slide you are all familiar with. There has been nothing but trouble and more unacceptable outcomes at Lincoln Hills over the past few years. I don't want to belabor the point of the timeline, but I just put this here so that you understand there was an investigation, multiple lawsuits, some of which that are not resolved yet. And so what has happened in the background while these investigations are going on is that the juvenile population has fallen. And counties, including local in Milwaukee, have decided that sending kids to Lincoln Hills is not the best option, and so they've developed local programs. So the juvenile population has declined, and you can see there a prison built for 519 juveniles now has about 150, 160 if we count the girls too, and it's about 70% empty. So the juvenile system is funded in a very unique way, and it's important to understand this. The county that the juvenile comes from pays the daily rate for incarceration in the juvenile system. The Department of Correction pays for the brick and mortar and some of the personnel, but on an operational, ongoing basis, Milwaukee County, if we send one youth to Lincoln Hills, we were paying $292 per day per juvenile. $292 per day per juvenile. So that's roughly $106,000 a year per juvenile. And so what happened when the population declined? Revenues declined. Does that make sense to everybody here? If you only have 150 kids and you used to have 300, you have half the number, you also have half the money. So the Republicans in Madison in this last state budget increased the daily rate. So today, the daily rate is $390 per day per juvenile at Lincoln Hills, which results a total of about $140,000. Important to note that the counties did not receive extra money, the difference of about $35,000 a year increase to the cost of incarcerating juveniles. And so what are counties going to do? They're going to stop sending kids to Lincoln Hills. And what's going to happen to the population of Lincoln Hills? It's going to go down. So what's going to happen to the cost of Lincoln Hills? It's going to go up. And so this is the math that closes Lincoln Hills. This is the economic argument that that facility is not sustainable. We can make moral and ethical arguments as well, but there is an economic argument to be made that that facility should be closed.